What's going on, guys? Jurassic here. Today we are back to another Elite Dangerous tutorial. Today we are in the system Odyssey, so you want to head over to Perry's Folly and head over to the starport surfaces. From here we're going to head over to the mission board and we're going to select everything for the Federation this time, which is going to be the red symbols up top. So I'm going to grab all three, and the easiest ones to do is going to be under the Transportation tab. Now we have a couple different destinations. Both of them are going to be relatively close by. So we have the Chakpa, which is 13.64. We have the HIP 67086. Both of them work. The Chakpa is just a little bit closer, so we're going to focus on those. So to show you the different categories here, we have all choices. We can do materials. This is going to be mostly for engineering stuff. So if you scroll down, you're going to notice this one actually has the engineering symbol. So this one is going to be a little bit more important. And it's also going to the station that we want to, so we're definitely going to grab you. Now, next up, I would filter by reputation. This is going to be more important for these people up top. See how it's yellow? You want to have them at least in the green. That way, whenever you're able to do your reputation missions, you need to have it high enough for them to be able to grab it. It looks like the majority of these missions are going to be about the same amount except for this one. However, that's a different kind of mission that we're not trying to grab, so we're going to mostly focus on the strategic data transfer. So we'll grab everything to the Chakpa station. Now there is two different areas that actually are able to be grabbed from here. Unfortunately, this is going to be a much smaller list, so if you want to do both the HIP and Chakpa, you could do that in one foul swoop, which I think we're going to do that. That way we have just a little bit more reputation going along the way, because that one wasn't really too much at all. Which is why we recommended starting with the Empire reputation, because that's going to go much faster than Federation rank, unfortunately. You notice this is all going to be medicine, so we don't want you, and outbreak data transportation, so we'll grab this one. Alright, so once you have your map selected, we have three different locations. Honestly, it's not really going to be too far to jump to each of these locations, so it's not going to be too bad on your ship. So let's go to launch. We'll start with Chakpa, and we'll do a big circle, and we'll end back up at Perry. We're grabbing all three stations just since they don't really offer too many missions for your Federation. You want to at least be able to have it worth your time.
Engines engaged. Landing gear retracted.
You could technically just focus on one or two stations at a time though, or you can do all three. Honestly, everything's going to be roughly under the 17 light year jump, so most of the stuff's going to be able to be easily accessible from even small vessels. Alright, so that is going to take us to two different spots here. So we're going to stop out with the main one. And once you get to 6 seconds, you're going to set your speed limiter to 75%. That should allow you to come up on the station without completely bypassing it. That way you don't have to worry about doing a loop of shame. If you didn't know, all you have to do is follow the blue dot in your little mini compass there to show you where the entrance is to the bigger stations. Alright, so now that we're here, we're going to turn in our mission. Select your three major factions, head over to the Transportation tab, and see what our options are. Now keep in mind, we're looking for missions at HIP 67882 and HIP 7086. And the rest of these missions are for different stars, so we're not going to worry about them. Technically, this one has engineering material though, so if you're wanting to do that one, you could deliver it if you had a cargo bay. So we're done with this station, we head on to the next one. Alright, on to the next one in the exact same system. Sometimes you're just going to get missions specifically for the Williams area, sometimes you'll get both stations, it just sort of depends on your luck. Back inside of the starport services, wait for it to load. We're going to complete our missions and we'll see what they have available for us. This is why we went ahead and grabbed multiple, since it seems like you don't really get too much in one go. That way it doesn't really waste your time. Alright, so we do have one for the 67882, so we'll grab you. It's mostly just paying attention to which mission lines we're actually going towards. Alright, so it looks like we have to go to all three of the different stations around here. Now these are a little bit further out, they're 39,000 and 40,000 light years away, so if you don't have an SEO drive, you might want to skip the HIP 67882 system. Alright, so into Atom Station, which is going to be the closest one. If you did pick up this system, I would recommend at least grabbing the Atom ones, that way they're a little bit closer to the area. We have three missions here though, and we can just go ahead and complete every single one. Last time, we don't care about any of the materials that we can get unless it's engineering stuff or influence, doesn't matter at all. So we'll grab these 2 missions, grab our transportation, and see if we have anything good. Now you'll notice like this one is an $8 million one. That's more going to be an actual like proper delivery one. So we're not going there. We do have one to Chakpa if we want to. Now if you have an SEO drive, I definitely recommend just grabbing this place. That way you have the most amount of missions possible. That way you're not really wasting your time with loops. However, this is a little bit further out. So if you don't have an SEO drive, you can go ahead and skip this area. With an SEO drive, it takes you about a minute to get all the way 40,000 away. So I mean, it's honestly not too bad of a trip in my opinion, especially when it comes to being able to grab extra missions, because our end result is going to be the one that has the most missions going towards it anyways. So hopefully we're able to grab a decent amount on the way, doing this ginormous loop. Once again, you can do this in your own private world, or you can do it in open. Either way works. You're going to be doing mostly just running things around. You don't really need any combat ships. You can do it in an exploration ship. So I recommend doing it in private, that way you don't really have to worry about people messing with you while you're turning in your missions. So again, we have credits, reputation, or more money. We're going to go with reputation unless you have your reputation faction maxed out for the area, then you can grab the money. Or if you see the hexagon shape, then you want to grab that for the engineering material. The reason why we went this far out is honestly it's right next to the other station, so there's really no point in not grabbing both of these together. Once again, we only have 2 of the Federation staff inside of the station, so you don't really have too many choices when it comes to missions. Mission board, turn in our poor missions. Once again, all we're really caring about is reputation. If we find some engineering materials, we'll grab that. Influence does not matter at all.
Incoming message.
So if it looks like a cylinder, that's actually going to go inside your cargo rack. And once again, we don't really care about that for this specific mission line. So if you're really wanting your extra cargo, you can grab that. However, that does not actually help you with engineering at all. See, we don't really have too many extra people inside this area, but we'll see what missions they have. The only place we're looking for is 67086, or we can go back to Oshosi. This is for mostly people who are wanting to min-max their time. Since you have to wait on the mission boards anyways, there's no real point in just grabbing like a small areas to go to like A to B, since you're going to have to wait and it's not going to be like going from one station back and forth, because you might only get like 1 or 2 missions per run anyways. Okay, so both of these are close by, so I would definitely include this in your normal loop. If you have a smaller ship, if you have the SEO drive, I would include the other hip in area. That way you can just make a giant triangle. So good news is, once we're in our final station here, we only really need to care about 1 area. So we'll grab the reputations, and if we have any to go back to Oshi, we'll grab that. If not, then we're not going to worry about them. So we'll select our 2, head over to transportation. See, now this is the location that we are looking for, so we'll grab our sensitive data. Although if you're trying to rank up your Federation, you want to head over to all, and you should look at the very top mission here. You're either going to have a chain or you're not going to be ready. You can also grab these donate missions just to do it a little bit easier, and you can sort of pay them off and stack it up a little bit faster compared to just like slowly grinding out everything. So far in the recording of this video, I've actually had 3 interdictions. Now, to escape an interdiction from a pirate, it's actually much easier than a Thargoid, so you don't really have to worry about missing those too often. Just aim on target, or you can actually pull all the way back. That way you can do your FSD boost if you need to, if you're at a super far location. Alright, so once again, we've finished up our mission. If you don't have a cargo bay, it won't actually let you gather those normal materials anyway, so you don't really have to worry too much about it. If you don't have the cargo space, it'll automatically tell you can grab. Alright, so we only care about 1 location. The rest of these are completely useless to us. We don't really have to care about the threat level, since we're going to be just doing a data delivery. We're going to be driving past everything. This Since these are smaller stations, I do actually recommend doing this in your private world. That way you don't have to worry about having too many of the stations automatically taken from you. Sort of out in the middle of nowhere though, so you shouldn't really have too many issues with it. So let's complete the last 7 missions in our list here. So for the easiest loop, I recommend at least doing the Oshi to Chakpa all the way over to 67086 back to Oshi. You don't necessarily need to include the HIP 67882. That's going to be your longest time sink, which is the one that requires your SEO drive. However, the rest of them are relatively close together. And honestly, this is going to be your furthest jump. So it depends if you go here to here. And if you don't have a big enough jump range, then you'll want to go back and just make a straight line like that. Or if you have a long enough jump range, you can make that in one jump. However, the loop should take you about 50 minutes if you include all the destinations, and it should take you about 30 minutes if you just include the closest 3. If this guide helped you out, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, and make sure you're paying attention to where the stations actually are sending your missions to. Sometimes you'll occasionally notice that some are sending you to settlements, which are going to be a little bit longer to take, so try to pay attention to the station names. So for example, Perry Folly, that's going to be the main one inside this system, and we noticed a couple of the other ones were out in random spaceports, so just keep that in mind whenever you're jumping across. We'll have each of the names in the description down below, that way you guys can keep track of the ones that are closest, and I'll also include the distance from each one. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully this helped you guys get your Federation rank up. Sorry for the little bit longer grind compared to the Empire reputation. This one's just a little bit longer of a time sink.